All right, so yesterday we started lesson 4 in class. I asked you to go home and finish page 26, which is this page that we are looking at. And I just wanted to go over a couple things before we finish the rest of the lesson. After playing the integer game, what do we notice when we were selecting positive cards? And I hope that we have that positive cards, adding positive cards to our hand increased the score. But when we selected negative cards, we were decreasing the score. Now, when we were getting rid of cards that that were positive, that would make our values go down. But if we discarded a negative, it would actually increase our score. Now, they want you to understand that the whole idea of selecting a card refers to our adding process, but when we are getting rid of cards, that's our subtraction process. So the question said, based on this game, can you make a prediction what would happen? Well, if you get rid of a positive value or you discard a positive, your score will decrease. And if you get rid of a negative value, your score will increase. Now, let's take a look at that and how that works and why that happens. So here's our first example. This is going to be like the integer game. We have two numbers. This is what we've been doing the whole time. We're going to start at 0, count up 4. From there, we're going to count up 2. So that puts us at 6. Now, we're going to show that subtracting that positive 2 is the same thing as subtracting a positive number, and it decreases our hand. So say I'm going to put the number line back up here. We have go up 4, we have go up 2. That was at 6. Now, if we get rid of this card, that's like getting rid of this arrow. That means that we are going to be at 4. It's like getting rid of this. What did we do? We ended up at 4. Now, we could show that the same way. We can start at 0, go up 4, go up 2 again. But instead of getting rid of the 2, if we add a negative 2, what happens? You go back 2, and you're still at 4. So getting rid of this 2 is the same thing as adding its opposite, which puts us at 4 still. So let's sum this up. By removing or subtracting a card, it's going to change the score the same way as if you are adding a card with the additive inverse. So that means getting rid of 2, subtracting 2, is the same thing as adding its opposite. So I just kind of show that 4 minus 2 is the same thing as 4 plus negative 2, adding its opposite. All right, so let's show this again. This time we're going to be getting rid of a negative number. So we're going to start at 4, go count down 2. So right now our total's at 2. All right, so let's look at what happens if we get rid of the negative 2. So we go up 4, we go back 2, but I want to get rid of that arrow, so I'm at 2. I'm sorry, I'm not at 2, I'm at 4. I would have been at 2, but I'm getting rid of that, and I'm at 4. All right, so what happens instead of subtracting the negative 2, what happens if we add the opposite? The opposite card is 2, so let's see what happens. We have up 4, count down 2, count up 2. Where are we at? We still end at 4. Notice that getting rid of a negative is the same thing as adding the opposite value. So let's write that down. So removing or subtracting a negative card changes the score the same way as if you were to add the opposite or the additive inverse. So that's the same thing as 4 minus negative 2, get rid of the negative 2, is the same thing as adding a positive 2. All right, so now that you see that with the integer game, this is actually the rule for all subtracting. So the rule for subtraction, which is super important, subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. We're always going to add its opposite. Now, I give the subtraction rules 3 key words that are going to help us remember this. I have leave, change, change. If you can remember those, that's going to help you to subtract numbers. Now, what does this mean? Leave the first number, change subtraction to adding, change the last number to its opposite. Add the opposite. So keep the first, change subtraction to addition, change the second number to its opposite. So add the opposite. So let me show you how to do this. So 8 minus 12, we're subtracting. So we're going to follow this leave, change, change idea. And yes, you do have to show work. So we're going to leave 8, change subtraction to adding, change 12 to negative 12. Now, notice that we are now adding, which is what we've been doing for the last couple of days. So think back to your adding rules that I taught you. And we said that when you have both positive or both negative, you're going to add the numbers. If you have one of each, like we do here, you're going to subtract the numbers. So 12 minus 8 is 4. Now, is 8 bigger or is 12 bigger? I hope you're saying 12. 12 is negative, so our answer is negative. I like when you circle the bigger number so you know that is going to be the sign of your answer. All right, let's try number 2. Let's do leave, change, change again since we're subtracting. So 4 is going to be left as 4. Change the subtraction sign to plus. Change negative 2 to positive 2. Now we're adding, and 4 plus 2, that's a pretty easy one. That's just 6. All right, subtracting again, let's do this. We have negative 7 is left as negative 7. Change subtraction to adding. Change negative 9 to its opposite, which is positive 9. Follow your adding rules again. So same signs, you're going to add them. Opposite signs, you subtract. So one is negative, one is positive. That's opposite signs. So we're going to subtract 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 is bigger. I'm going to circle it. It's positive, so my answer is positive 2. All right. In the next exercises, it's going to ask you to do it on your own. Let me give you some directions before you try this. The first part says use the subtraction of the rule of subtraction to rewrite the following subtraction as addition. So you're not going to actually compute. You're just going to rewrite it as addition. Basically, that means you're going to do leave, change, change. So let me show you part A. You're going to leave it as 8, change it to plus, change 2 to its opposite, which is negative 2. Done. It's not asking you to find it. Oh, it is asking you to find it. It's actually asking you to solve. So I changed my mind. Let's actually do that. So 8 minus 2, I'm subtracting because they're opposite signs, is 6. 8 is bigger. I'm going to circle it, which means our answer is positive. All right. So I'm going to have you try questions 1 and 2. You are going to pause the video, try them on your own. When you're done, go ahead and hit play. Make sure that you have the correct answers. I'm going to remind you, though, that every single one of these questions, you need to show me leave, change, change. Do not just give me an answer. All right, go ahead and pause the video now. All right, so part B, we're going to do leave 4, change it to plus, change 9 to negative 9. Opposite signs means I subtract. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 is bigger than 4, and it's negative. Part C, leave negative 3, change it to adding, change it to negative 7. Same signs, they're both negative, means you add. 7 plus 3 is 10. 7 is bigger, it's negative, so my answer is negative 10. D is negative 9 plus positive 2, leave, change, change. These are opposite numbers, so we subtract. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 is bigger, and it's negative. All right, number 2, it's asking you to do the same thing. So negative 2 plus 5. Opposite signs mean you subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 is bigger, and it is positive. Part B, 11 plus 8. 11 plus 8 is just 19. Part C is negative 10 plus positive 4. opposite signs, 1 negative, 1 positive, means to subtract. 10 minus 4 is 6. The 10 is bigger, it is negative, so my answer is negative 6. All right, let's look at number 3. This says we're going to write 2 equivalent expressions to represent the situation. And the situation says, what is the difference in elevation? Now, difference means to subtract. So let's subtract these 2 numbers here. So an airplane is flying at a height of 25,000 feet. That's above the ground. So that means it's positive. Subtracting a depth of 600 feet, but that's below. So we're going to represent that with negative 600. So here's one expression. Now, where do you come up with the second expression from? Think about this. This is a subtraction problem, and it's the same as adding its opposite. So I can change this by doing leave, change, change. And these 2 expressions now become equivalent, which are your 2 equivalent expressions. All right. Now, let's just talk real quick about the lesson summary. I want to kind of sum everything up for you so that you have an idea of what you should know about, for your homework. So the big thing we talked about is subtraction, okay? And we talked, you heard me say a lot that subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. You heard me say that a lot. And I called that, I had 3 keywords that I used, and it was leave, change, change. So those 2 things are super important that you have to know. You're going to be using that on all of the homework. Now I'm going to give you a quick tip. When you do the homework tonight, every subtraction problem needs to have leave, change, change, or you will not be getting full credit on that homework assignment. So please make sure you show me leave, change, change, and do not give me just answers. Talking about the problem set, let me get you started on number 1, just so that you can see how to fill this chart in. I don't want to leave you not knowing how to do this. It says that you're going to find the difference between the numbers listed on the side and 4, and you're always going to use 4. So they give you an example here. Notice the number was 10, so we subtract 4 from 10, do leave, change, change, and then come up with the answer. So notice that the second number is 2. So subtract 4 from 2, leave, change, change, come up with your answer. So you're going to do that for all the of those problems on this page. The rest of the homework should be pretty self-explanatory. All right, so finish up that problem set, and we will go over it tomorrow. Good luck.